Any guesses for the author for problem 2? Problem writers have a lot more freedom? I would say so, yeah. Carl Archon. Everyone's guessing Archon. Oh, that's... It does have his style. I'll give you that. That might be my guess too. But the correct answer is Pichiyut, who you may or may not know. Get pranked. Yeah, so problem 1 is David Altisio, problem 2 is Pichiyut. Yeah. So this is a nice thing, because we're a US only contest, I can take the problems from a lot of the international audience, which is really great. Yeah, any guesses for problem 3? You think it's Ankon's problem? Okay. Nikolai. Man. So far, no correct guesses. Okay. I'm gonna grab my iPad. We'll see if someone can get the correct. Really? Okay, this one I think should be a lot easier to guess. Me is not the correct guess. It's an on. You guys know an on, right? Alright, cool. So, I think because of the style of the problems, I might actually finish the stream before 8 PM, despite the fact we started like 15 minutes late. But... man, this was supposed to be the important stream, and literally not a single thing worked. Like, the webcam stopped working, and then the Linux driver also stopped working unrelatedly, and then the problem database also stopped working. Like, all orthogonally, everything failed. It was just like, ugh. Alright. Well, at least the stream is running now. Literally, like, I literally can't think of anything. Like, it was not only did the Linux driver, when I rebooted, I couldn't start my desktop. Like, I couldn't log in. And I was like, well, this is not gonna end well. Alright. Let's go to the whiteboard. I think this works better with the whiteboard. Alright, so problem USEMO 1. Well, okay, last year's day 1 was also quite tough. Yeah, maybe. So, here's problem 1. Claim k even only. So this works because you can take x, y, z is just 1, comma, k halves, comma, 1. Why call it claim? You're right, I should call it answer. Answer. Okay, so, yeah, you know, there were a lot of constructions I've seen with like n cubed, n squared or something, but just use ones. Alright, so for the other direction, I'm going to say, oh, sorry, k is the expression. I should say that. The original proposal had the k in it, so I keep forgetting that I edited it to have one less variable. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write LCM x comma y plus LCM of y comma z minus k times LCM of xz is equal to 0. And let's say if k is odd, we're going to assume k odd for contra. Right? So here's the main idea. The idea is how we're going to look at v2. That's basically the whole thing. Did I have to define v2? No, don't be silly. Oh my god. Okay, so here's what's going to happen. Like, in general, the following is true. So fact, if I have three numbers, u, v, and w, with sum 0, let me do this in a different color. Like, suppose I have three guys that add up to 0, u plus v plus w equals 0. Then, if you look at v2 of u, v2 of v, which is terrible notation, but oh well. If I look at these three numbers, the two lowest ones have to be equal. Like, the two lowest v2s must be equal because otherwise the sum has non-zero v2. So two of them should be equal. And if two of them are equal, then the last one will be strictly greater than them. Because if I add two numbers with equal v2s, then you get at least one extra factor of 2. So this is just true when you look at v2 addition. Like, the two smallest v2s must be equal to each other because they need to cancel each other, and then the last number should have strictly larger v2. Okay, so we're going to apply that lemma to this equation, and what you get is that this one has v2 equal to the max of v2x, v2 of y. This one has max v2y, v2 of z. And because we're assuming k is odd, this one will have max v2x, v2 of z. And this situation does not match this situation. Here, the largest two are going to be equal no matter what. So this is not possible. And that concludes the proof. Alright. Yeah, that's it. There's nothing else. So I got the feeling there's going to be a lot of stuff that isn't this solution, but you can get it in one breath like this. Alright, moving on. Let's talk about USEMO 2. Alright. Okay. So, USEMO 2. Let me first say what USEMO 2 is so good. I just have to say, this problem's amazing. So, answer is 4 to the 1010 minus 3 to the 1010. That's the answer for people who are curious. And the way you achieve it is, here's the strategy for Hobbes. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pair the numbers up, just however you want. So we can just do like 1 goes to 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, up to 2019 to 2020. So pair up the numbers. And then whenever Calvin picks a number, Hobbes will pick the other one. What do Calvin and Hobbes stand for? Does this generation not know what Calvin and Hobbes is? If so, go look it up. Like, seriously. Okay. Calvin isn't that smart. Calvin doesn't need to be that smart. I'll show you. Hobbes is the one that has to do the heavy thinking. Yeah. So, anyways, so this strategy means that Calvin can't get any subset that has both numbers in one pair. So, yeah. So Calvin is. Let me do it in red. So Kelvin is trapped with it's containing no pair. And, well, you can actually count the number of such sets, because for each pair, you can either have, like, for example, the 1-2 pair, Kelvin can get 1, he can get 2, he can also get neither, but he can't get both. So there's 3 ways for each pair, and so that's how you get this 3 to the 1010. There's only 3 to the 1010 sets that Kelvin can get. So that is the entire lower bound. Okay, cool. So yeah, I will now show the other bound, which surprisingly is actually about as short as this. So this is why this problem is freaking amazing. Here's the idea. Claim for all k from 1 through 1010, I can include 0, why not? Kelvin can achieve at least 2 to the k times 1010 choose k sets of size k by kth turn. So, for example, when k equals 1, Kelvin can get any one element set. He goes first. When k equals 2, k equals 2, yeah. It's like, yeah, 4 times 1010 choose 2? I hope I got that right. Okay, and the proof is this. All you have to do is look at Kelvin, how many ways Kelvin can move. So how many ways can Kelvin move? On the first turn, he can choose 2n things. On the second turn, he can choose 2n minus 2 things, all the way down to 2n minus 2k minus 1. So this is the number of ways Kelvin can move. Okay, meanwhile, every set is achieved in at most k factorial ways because of the ordering. So Kelvin has all these moves, and every set can be achieved with at most k factorial different ways. So this equals that. So that is a complete proof of the claim. And now when you sum the claim, you get 3 to the 1010. And that is the complete solution to problem 2. And that's it. How is this not trivial? Because, like, no one's going, like, people aren't going to get it. I promise you. Like, I promise you people will not solve this. How many points will answer get plus construction get? I don't know. I haven't gotten the rubric from the captain yet. Yeah. Please give Mo's. I think I don't want to. I'm not gonna decide on this for sure until I see the scores, which I think my suspicion is the scores will make this problem quite hard. Like I don't expect a lot of solves on this at all. Like, just because the solution is this short doesn't mean it's easy. Yeah, like, I expect people to, like, figure out how to get the 3 to the... I expect some people to get 3 to the 1010. But... Is this free? No, I don't think it's free. It doesn't... Yeah, that doesn't feel right, correct to me. Thank you, Namat, for the 300-bit cheer. You're actually joking if this is the solution. This is the solution. I don't know what's wrong with this. What's unique is construction and proof have no relation. I don't think they're that well, they're not that unrelated compared to other problems. Like, it's not that uncommon that the construction and the proof don't look that similar, but you can see the equality case happen here, right? Because you have a pretty good, in Hobbes's optimal strategy, you have a pretty good characterization of what you think the, which sets Kelvin can get, and the numbers match up, roughly. This feels too simple. I need to think about it. Yeah, I had to think about it too. I didn't believe it when I first saw it. This is also like not quite the author's original solution. Though the quote-unquote one-line proof that I'm showing you here was found by Andrew Gu. The original was a little more complicated, where what they do is, like, after the first two moves, they delete those elements and then use induction on the claim. How many points will I get for construction and proof attempt? I don't know. Not that many probably, but it might be greater than 0. Okay, so now for the problem that will actually take time. And stop when the expansions reach 100 terms. Yeah, that sounds like a good time to stop. I got the answer and wrote help, I can't induct. Yeah, I mean, hey, like, if the problem's hard for a reason, right? Like, it's that's why it's so good, because the solution, you look at it, it's like H and N are not even needed. They can be any points. Are you serious? Wait, actually? Well, okay, well, let's go to GeoCheaper and find out. Okay, so we're going to the ABC, and I'm going to define point names right away. So this is going to be T, sorry, this should be A and B. Ah, no, that's TC. Okay, that one's off the page, but it's okay. I'm not gonna really use it. So H, so there's a claim that H can be any points. Let's see if this is true. We're gonna let H be a random point. Shoot, H is 0. Oh my god. Oh, whatever. N equals 0, 0. You know, let's find out. So here's the orthocenter, where here's this 9-point center. And what's happening is I'm taking the line through H perpendicular to AN. Yeah, line through H. So we're going to call this LA. And WA equals circle. You know, the polygon, TA, TB, TC. Oh, frick. Did I not call it LA? Oh, LA. Oh, this is gonna be so annoying to type. Okay, so that's WA. H line BN. And we're going to replace B, 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 okay, and W, H line, CH. Okay, so the radical axis, yeah, no, they don't lie on HN. Rad center always on line OH, okay. A, B, C, 3. Oh man. See, when you draw all three of them, it becomes really hard to see what's going on. Where is WB? Hang on, hey, where's the B circle? This one, right? Oh shoot, did I? Oh no, this is WB. I'm bad. Fortunately, I copy pasted it. Alright, cool. So let's give these circles different colors so I can see them more easily. So okay, so Warren, what's the claim? The claim is the rats, like which one? Like, oh frick, no, don't color those red, please. Oh jeez. Okay, this circle, and where's the last radical axis? Those are supposed to be concurrent, so I messed something up. This one and this one? Oh man, it's so hard to click. Yeah, this isn't true. Like, the point is there. I don't know which radical axis you want it to lie on. Like, that's HO. Doesn't lie on HN or HO. What if n is the midpoint of HO? We can try that, see if it works. Yeah, still not on it. Yeah, you can't vary H, right? There's no way. Yeah. GeoGebra, calculator. You linked me a blank file for what? Oh, it's private. I don't know. Is this the right picture? Right? Like I just don't think that this clip is true. Okay, well, let's do, let me not get sidetrack this by too long and do the original problem. So, H is random, N is random. I think H and N are needed. I keep hearing, like... Yeah, I don't know what your point P in is in this picture, but it doesn't look like they're... Like that point E you defined, P you defined in the thing you sent is like... lies on OH because you defined it to lie on OH. No, like, you defined a point P in your thing that's like OH intersect one of the radical axi, but it doesn't lie on the other two radical axi, like it doesn't lie on WB and WC. Okay, cool. I'm not crazy. Alright, so let's hide a bunch of stuff. We're actually only going to need WA for a while. Is there a good synthetic solution? I mean, yes. Is it easy to find? No. Okay, so let's define a bunch of points. We're gonna let D be the intersection of AH and BC. Line AB. And I'm gonna also define, like, the first part of the problem is to figure out where this point is. This point over here. So let me get these names actually. I'm gonna call this one, what do I call these in my notes? We're gonna call it P and Q. So, I'm actually going to hide this circle, in fact. So this is the thing that's perpendicular to AN. Oops. Ah, freaking. Frick. Ah, duh. Yeah, so I think the first main thing is figuring out where this point Q is, and the answer is the following. We're going to define HB equals 2 times this point, so it's like, you know, this is an altitude. And the claim is that this point Q is the pole of line HBC. So... So in order to prove this, what I really want to do is two things. Let's see. Well, okay. I think that follows from complex. Okay, you can also complex it. Yeah. Maybe that's easiest, honestly. You just throw complex at it. But the point is, I claim that this point is the desired one. And the proof in the notes is by Pascal's theorem. What I do is you can introduce... I probably want to do this all at once. So let's see. Let's define HC equals 2 times H minus F. No. HC equals 2 times F minus H. And so PHC is segment PHC. And CHC is this segment here. So you have this complete quadrilateral here. HC, B, HB, C. So it's automatically the case that PHQ are collinear. That will follow just by Brocard's theorem. And so what remains is to show that AN is perpendicular to PHQ or whatever. And for this, so the official solution goes as follows. We're going to prime C prime to be the antipode of C. So this point up here, B prime to be the antipode of B. So this point up here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply... Let me get the hexagon right. Pascal on BHC, C prime, CHB, B prime will tell me that certain points are collinear. Those points are the intersection of C prime HC and B prime HB. So like these two guys will meet at a point far away. So let me draw it. And L's intersect line BHC, line CHB. So let me distort this diagram so those points are actually somewhere reasonable. KC prime, KB prime, and where'd L go? I saw one of them go. L's all the way up there. Yeah, so when you apply Pascal's theorem, it will tell you K, L, and which point? O, the center of the circle are collinear. So that's this OL here. On the other hand, so by Brocard's theorem, you also already know that L is the same one we used in this Brocard's theorem. So OL is perpendicular to PQ because of Brocard on BHC, HBC. That gives you this right angle. And you can check that actually K is the midpoint of AH. So when you dilate this entire line back, that will give you AN is perpendicular to the red line. So in short, this Pascal, Brocard, and homothétiated H with factor 2 will prove this claim synthetically. Great. So what that does is that will get rid of... We can forget about C prime, B prime, and those friends now. All the points that I just randomly added. The upshot is that, again, as some people say, you could also prove this with just complex. That's probably more straightforward in exam settings. But the upshot is that this is how you characterize the triangle. It's the P and Q are the poles of this guy and this guy. So let's bring the circle back. Let's hide K and L. And now here's a question. What do you think the radical axis of this green circle and the circumcircle is? So this is omega A. What's this radical axis? Yeah, it's line EF. Which is really, really strong. Yeah, it's actually EF. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this line EF, and let's just say we're going to call this point here Z. And my goal is to show that Z is on the radical axis of the green circle and the black circle. So the main difficulty is, so the power of Z with respect to the green circle will just be ZQ times Z times that point all the way down there. So, you know, that part is fine. The other thing you'll notice about this Z here is that this triangle is isosceles here and here. So what this means is this point Z is actually pretty well behaved. It lies on the perpendicular bisector of CH, and so I'm going to introduce two new points. Those two new points are Y, the midpoint of CHB, and X, the midpoint of BC. And these points are all on one nice line. The program is GeoGebra 5, Classic 5. So EF is on the radical axis, and what I'm going to do is, well, I just need to show Z is there. So proof ZY times ZTA off picture. So that's off screen. Sorry. ZQ times ZTA. Well, if you look at this, let's see. What did I want? It's equal to ZX times ZY. Okay, that's the claim. And why is that true? Just because by angle chasing from O. Okay, so I do need that point TA. I was hoping I didn't need it. I'll keep it off screen. Yeah, like OY times OQ is OC squared equals OX times OTA. So this guy is cyclic, and you get ZQ times ZTA is ZX times ZY. And ZX times ZY, well, because this is a homothety, there's homothety at C, that will tell you it's actually equal to ZC squared. So that will give you the power of a point you want. Yeah, so now you know the radical. So this point is on the radical axis. Similarly, so is this other point here. So that's that. Yeah, hide it. And now, so now that we have that purple line in there, I'm going to erase X, Y, and Z. We don't need them anymore. At this point, this is basically the two main claims of the problem. It's the figure out the green circle and figure out the radical axis. And once we have them, the rest of it should be pretty quick. So what happens when I add in the other two circles? Well, the radical axi of, you know, the relevant radical axi are just EF and DE. So DE passes through, why didn't it meet? It should be on the black circle. Did I mess up one of the circles? This circle might be messed up. What did I do? LC is fine. Where's LC? Ah, yeah, LC is wrong. This should be CM. Okay, cool. Right, so where was I? So now I'm just going to define the other radical axi. So, shout out to USEMO problems from Theory Spiral. Appreciate your patronage. So that's DE, find DF. So if I look at these two green circles, ignore WA. D is the radical center of three things, so the radical axis should certainly pass through D. And my final claim is that the radical axis will also pass through TA. So this is the final line in the problem. So let me distort the picture again so you can actually see the rest of the points. Yeah, I claim dTA is the radical axis of omega b and omega c. And d lies on it because of the purple lines, so we don't need the purple lines anymore either. T, F. What did I name this? Hi. Yeah. And why is okay? So to do this, I want to recall one bit from earlier, which is that when I let A is like be the reflection here, and then we had this TA A to omega. Sorry, HA to omega. So we know from the earlier proof that like this point and this point are there. So this point exists. It's the pole. This point exists. It's a pole. Now, if you look at it, this line and this line, TCA and RS, are reflection across line BC, whereas this line, TA TC, and this line, TA TB, they're reflections across the vertical axis. So this is enough to tell you that the 4 points are cyclic, just these 4 on a circle. So that's enough to tell you TA lies on the radical axis. And that's it. That's the characterization of the radical axis of omega b and omega c. And now that that's done, all I have to do is show that TA, TB, TC, and DEF are concurrent on line OH, which is a problem I think is actually, I don't know if it's this in EGMO or it's a different thing, but final concurrence is just because DEF and TA, TB, TC are homothetic with in-centers H and O respectively. Yeah, and that's everything. So congrats to anyone who managed to complex bash it. I'm not surprised, honestly. Cool. So yeah, I do think this is actually a hard problem. Like, I don't know. Can you explain the entire problem? Would getting everything except proving D on radx be greater than 1 point? That sounds like a lot. Or actually, hang on. Like, what does except mean? Like getting P and Q should probably be, I think is, like sort of there's 3 main steps, right? One is to figure out what P and Q are. The second is to get EF as the radical axis. And the last step is to get TAD as the radical axis here. How much is proving T sub A on radical axis? I don't know. I don't think I've even decided on the problem captain for this problem yet. Yeah. So, all TBD. How do people still come up with new geo? I don't know. Geo is not, like, despite the fact that everyone makes fun of geometry, it's not actually that shallow of a subject, right? Like, I don't really think you just run out of geo problems. Yeah, P and Q are very nice. I guess that's what makes this tractable, because what is this point? This point is like, in convex is to be minus AC over B. This is C. So P and Q are pretty good expressions. And what would you want to do? Well, if you had that, then I don't know what you do after that. What are we doing now? Good question. I think I am supposed to prepare for a Hanabi competition. Let me see what's up with that. Please reveal USEMO day 2? No. Yeah. No, this is actually quite a... Like, USEMO is just not an easy test. It's a friendly test in certain senses. Oh no. Thanks I3435 for the follow. Why is the keycam on top? The keycam should not be on top. What were approximate Moses? Honestly, I think problem 2 is at least 25 and maybe closer to 30. I'll be more confident in that opinion once I see the scores. I think my guess for what's going to happen is that the scores will show that it's definitely like at least 30. Problem 2 is like 10? No. Get out. Yeah, I like math choose ratings. It was my first Math Olympiad contest and I only got number 1. That's pretty good. Because 2 and 3 were hard. Like, you know, well, one problem is very typical for like a first time taking an Olympiad level test. Yeah. I don't have a sense of how hard problem 3 is, in part because I didn't get to try the problem myself. It's probably at least 40. It's definitely harder than like the 2019-6, I think, because the 2019-6 you could straight complex bash. Whether it's a lot harder than that, I don't know. I think this is a case where I want to see what how far people get. I think it's a problem where you can get some progress. Like, it's not like problem 2 where you don't get much partial. Problem 3 you can like, there's sort of 3 discrete steps of comparable difficulty, so it's possible to get like some subset of them. P equals like, no, that's definitely wrong. Yeah. No, it's just not. Like, we just did this, right? Like, P is here. It's the pole of B and HC. The coordinates of this point in complex are minus AB over C. The coordinate of this point is B. So, yeah, like... Yeah, if you got a complicated expression, either you didn't simplify it or you made a mistake. But that P and Q are nice. The hard part is like doing the radical axis bit. You're telling me I expanded 30 times for nothing? Yeah. Yes. It turns out the other tangency point from P is quite good. That's sort of what makes this problem tick, I think, is the fact that P and Q are so good. And once you figure out where P and Q are, you just don't have to think about N anymore. Like, it's interesting, I think, that the 9-point center is just not related to the problem. Like, it's not really deeply related to the problem. You need to do the step where you delete N by figuring out the correct description of P and Q. But then you can forget about N and just treat it as like an American geo problem. I mean, it's already American to begin with. Among Us? No. I'm probably doing Hanabi. I have to prepare for on stream. Okay.